right, so give it up for Troy and Charity. He was an NFL player, and they kind of have physical fitness going on in their life. I think they practice it.
Not me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Troy, and this is my beautiful wife, Charity.
Good morning, y'all.
And this week, it's been a struggle for me alone. About a year ago, I got diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety disorder, which is something that's totally out of my realm because I'm always the one speaking. I'm always the one doing different things. But it kind of held me back from the past year. I kind of stepped back from speaking. So it was kind of surreal when we got the text from Pastor Rhonda about coming to speak because I didn't want to come. I told myself, I'm good. Enough people know our story. But then I got my beautiful wife here. They always tell me, like, we didn't go through this for nothing. All right, Troy, if you commit to this, you're going to do this. And she's always bigging me up. She always making sure she points me in the right direction. And I'm actually glad. I was nervous up until the point I got up on this stage. So I know I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right thing and we're doing the right thing. So I'm going to let Charity go ahead and start off with our story. It is powerful, and you guys are going to realize that anything you go through in your marriage, that you'll be able to make it through.
I like to start off with this quote. I don't remember where it's from, so forgive me. But it says, to survive the storms of life, a marriage needs to have the right foundation and the right boundaries. A healthy foundation should come from building a life on God's word. To have a strong, godly marriage, you must hate how the world has tried to distort marriage. You must hate divorce. You must hate the things that tear marriage apart. And you must both stand on that conviction when marriage gets hard. I'll kind of start with why we're here. This is our testimony. So in October of 2015, it was a regular day. I was home preparing dinner, and I was used to Troy coming home from the gym, and he would take a shower, and then he would come back downstairs to eat. And so this particular evening, he didn't come back downstairs, and so I went upstairs to see, what he was doing, if he wanted me to bring his food upstairs. So when I walk into the room, he's like crying like somebody died. And immediately I began to think about this picture that I had sent to my sister-in-law via text, and I was like, whose child is it? It was a picture of a little girl that I saw on Facebook. And my mother-in-law was tagged in the photo, and I was like, well, whose child is it? I've never seen this child before. And my sister-in-law never responded. So when I walked in the room and Troy's in there crying, I'm like, it was it was obvious. So she had reached out to Troy and told him, okay, you have to talk to Charity. At that time, he hadn't talked to me, but when I saw him crying, I knew that this is what was going on. So when I walked in the room, he he immediately got up and he was like, we got to talk. And so I sit on the bed, and he comes and he sits beside me, and he was like, I messed up. I'm so sorry. And he just kept saying, I'm so sorry. So I'm just like, okay, I'm dreaming, right? This is not happening. This is a dream, a bad dream I need to wake up from. So the first thing that I think of, he didn't say, okay, I messed up, I got another woman pregnant, and I have a daughter. I didn't need him to fill all that in. I kind of feel that in myself. So I'm just thinking about this little girl without her father in her life. And I don't know why, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. And so I asked him, I said, have you been involved in her life? And he was like, I've been doing the best that I can, considering the circumstances, him trying to do this and not, let anyone find out. And so I told him, I said, you need to be fully involved in her life. At that point, I didn't know how that was going to happen, and we were going to stay married because I had not really dealt with my feelings and my emotions. I was just thinking about this child, and she didn't ask to come into the world this way, so we got to figure this out, but God, we need you to do it. So
And at that moment, I know for me, it was realized that I was about to lose everything that I worked for. And I look back and I was asking God, like, how could I be this, I was asking myself, how could I be this far from the man that I wanted to be? First off, getting another woman pregnant, having a baby, then alone being a girl, something I knew my wife wanted. So then I asked God, like, God, how can I be this far? How could I? But I look back at the situation, God was nowhere in the picture. He wasn't. And it's crazy because as how I was raised, and I let a lot of things take over me. The fact that I played professional football, had this persona about myself, was confident in myself, but I was still dealing with depression, still dealing with anxiety, dealing with a bunch of things, dealing with playing in the NFL, being away from my family, thinking I can get away with certain stuff. But I go back to one thing that happened in that whole situation. It's what she did. When she said, were you in this girl's life? I don't know how. I don't think nobody else will respond that way unless they have God in them. That's the only way. That's it. And it was a tough pill for me to swallow. It was tough for me to talk, and it was something I was gonna keep, take to the grave with me. And I told her that. And I'm gonna give you a background of the story of how all this came about. My mom found out about it, and my sister found out about it, and that could put a separation between us. I didn't want my mom around because I didn't want my mom to say nothing to Charity. I didn't want my sisters around so they wouldn't say nothing or do nothing. My mom called me on the phone, and she told me, Troy, you know what you got to do. I don't care about nobody else in this situation but Charity. Because my mom knew. The same thing happened to my mom. The same exact thing. To which she was dealing with a guy that he had another child on by her. The same thing. And my mom knew firsthand how this would hurt her, how it would. But she knew she had to know. And then I'm being selfish. Because I got another daughter, and she got 3 brothers that she don't even know about. And vice versa. So that's selfish of me. But you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause on that, and we can go back to the beginning.
It got really deep and dark real quick.
Fast.
So
we're going to go back to the beginning, and what we're going to do is let you know how we met, because me and Charity been married for 12 years. We've known each other for 22 years. So we met when I was 14 and she was 12. It's a long time. A lot of love during them years. But I let Charity explain like how we met, how we fell for each other, how I wooed her.
I'm gonna. So we just want to give you a background of how we met and how our relationship came about. So back in '97, my mom and my sister and I we visited this church. We were looking for a new church home. New Beginning Ministries in Beach Island, South Carolina. So we visited this church, and we really loved the church. So we made that our church home, and over time I began to meet people and make friendships. And I wasn't really paying Troy any attention at first, but he started really. I was 12, 13, and he started making sure that I noticed him. And it was not in a disrespectful way. He would just always greet me. He was super charming. Very well-mannered. Just not a typical 14, 15-year-old guy. So that kind of piqued my interest. I was like, he's different. He's not aggravating. But he would always greet me, give me a hug, ask me how I was doing. And so over time, we began to develop a friendship. Now, he wanted to date me. I think he kind of got his sister to befriend me.
Just for a little bit.
I guess he wanted get to know this girl because I think I like her. She's cute. So his sister and I became friends, and she would call me but put Troy on the phone. And I was like, okay.
I used to be a little shy.
So one day, this is probably a year after we started going to the church. It was after Bible study, and he came, walked up to me. Actually, I was talking to his sister, and she was like, he's coming up behind you. And she had told me earlier that day that he told her that he was going to ask me to go out with him. So he did. And I said yes initially, but then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm too young to be dating. I can't have a boyfriend right now. So I wrote him this long letter. It was like a whole page front and back. It was a whole page front and back, and I was like, I don't know what all I said in that letter, but in a nutshell, I was telling him, I can't date right now. I'm too young. I don't really need to be focused on that right now, so we can be friends. And we were friends for a couple years, and then we started dating when I got a little older. I think I was 16.
16 maybe, yeah. And I was, I know for me, when we started dating, I'm sorry, I don't like sitting. I'm a mover. when we started dating, I wanted to be that, typical. When I went to church at before, that's one thing he taught, the respect of women, on how to treat them. I had a good example with him, how he treated his wife. So I wanted to be that guy, So I remember it was Charity's 16th birthday. So, I didn't have a lot of money, but I can cook. So what I did was I went to the store, got me some Betty Crocker cake mix, some eggs, some flour, and I baked that cake for her 16th birthday.
He did. He baked the whole cake for my birthday.
For a birthday.
Like, who does that? Like,
a guy who don't have a lot of money. And using his skills. So, I mean, that's the stuff I wanted to do. I wanted to, to be the guy and that would want to do things like that. I would bring her money for trips. Even though she said only done it one time.
it was just one time, but
I think it was more. But whatever I brung her, it was all I had. And the gas money to get to where she was at.
And mind you, we were in high school when he was doing all this stuff. Yeah, it was before we were going on the trip to Carowinds, and he drove to. Now I'm from Augusta, so I went to A.R. Johnson. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. He lived in Petticoat Junction.
Petticoat Junction.
So,
Rough.
so he drove to Augusta to my school before we pulled off on the bus to bring me some money for the trip. I was like, okay, this guy. And I didn't ask for money. Now I wasn't a gold digger or nothing, but he wanted to do that. So he did that kind of stuff all the time. Like whenever they were out of school, because he was in Aiken County and I was in Richmond County. Whenever they were out and we were in, like he would come to my school. And they would call me to the front office. I'm like, why are they calling me to the office? It would be him. And he would be there with a gift basket and a card. I'm like, it's just a regular day. But, he was just like super thoughtful like that. And so you can see why I fell in love at a very young age. And, yeah, I'm about to get ahead of myself about when we got married and everything.
So we finna jump to that. So we dated all through that. And when I got drafted in 2005, I think we was still on talking terms then, because we took a little bit of time off from each other. But I knew it wasn't nobody else I was gonna talk to but this woman.
He
here.
Started smelling himself, y'all.
Listen.
He was football and track star in high school. Then he went off to college, and he was smelling himself. So
listen. It was nobody else I was gonna walk down that aisle with, and I told her that because you just never know. I mean. This woman here, man, she's done so much for me, not just being a wife and a great mother, but just her whole self. She's done so much, and that's why I'm who I am here today, able to come up here and speak on this matter, because if not, I would have kept this between our household and kept it to ourselves. So I knew in 2005, I'm planning for this big wedding, right? So this big proposal. I got a dinner ready for everybody to come to. I went to the store, and this some of the things that I think about. Went to my agent, that's my agent. Is that me? So I went to my agent, I said, I need a ring for my wife. And he said, okay, what you want? I said, it's something big and nice, I don't care how much it costs, right? So he came back with me, and see where I'm going here. And material things ain't a lot to me and Charity, like we really don't care. I spent maybe 40-something grand on Charity's ring, too much money, and maybe 30-something on my ring. But I'm listen to this. We spending all this money on rings and
all this time to plan a wedding and everything.
I'm spending all this money. But what we wasn't planning for was after that day.
Yeah.
We investing in that day, but not the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to get people, especially married couples or people that's finna get married. That day don't matter. The honeymoon don't matter. None of that matters. What you have to look at is what I'm going to do when we get back from a honeymoon to year 2, year 3, year 4. That's why you need to put yourself around great couples in a great church and some people that can actually invest in you. Because that's the biggest thing. Because I don't care. If I go back, I wouldn't have spent no 30 grand on no ring. None of that would happen. Me and Charity would have went to the courthouse, spent all that money on counseling and some other ways to help us make this marriage better. You got something, boo?
We like he was saying, we prepared for the wedding day, but we were not equipped for marriage at all. we were 21 and 23 when we got married, and I mean, I posted a long post on Facebook a little while ago that I feel like the moment you say I do, you become a target for the enemy. I feel like we had more people around us waiting for the day that our marriage failed
I agree.
than we had people praying for us, you know. And I don't know, I feel like I was about to get emotional, but
It's okay, boo.
and honestly, like when we came to New Life, like it was literally new life for our marriage,
Yeah.
because when we started coming here, it's actually after that day back in October 2015. I think that same month, probably like a week or so after that day, Troy came here. He came here first.
Ran into Pastor Rhonda.
Oh yeah. Pastor Rhonda, welcomed him, made him feel like he had been here forever. And yeah, that was really the beginning of a new journey for us.
But let's go back, because I want to dig deep into this. How I got another baby and messing around. Like when I started playing in pro football, and everybody look at it as, oh, it's great to play, but that wasn't it for me. Like I knew it wasn't it for me. You could tell how it was just so much stress. I'm going to a place in Minnesota, leaving home, so much stress and depression and these expectations everybody else has for you, but you don't really have for yourself. So the NFL was just the NFL to me. Like everybody like, oh my God, you played? Yeah, I played, blah, blah. That's it. That's all. Because it brought so much darkness to our life. Scratch the money, scratch all the other stuff, it just brought so much darkness to us. I can go back and I can tell you, like, when I played and I didn't have the greatest years playing, I remember calling my wife and, just telling her how I just want to quit this game. I just want to stop it. And I'm going to tell you what she told me. Troy, whatever you want to do, I'm here for you. Because she was never that person that needed me to play football. My Charity probably only been to like 4 of my games. 4. I don't know if she ain't want to show me support or what, but she only been to 4.
Not because I didn't support him. If you've ever been to an NFL game, you know how people people are extreme for their team, and
They
I'm like,
are.
why? It's not that serious. Like I went,
Right.
we went to when you were playing in Jacksonville and they were playing the Falcons, I think.
Okay.
So we're in Atlanta, we're at the game, and this guy sitting beside me, and he's just like going, I'm like, sir, I'm just here to support my husband. Leave me alone, please. Like, I really had to kind of snap at this guy so he would, I'm like, calm down. It's not that serious. So early on, we had babies back to back. The first 2. So that was why I didn't go to.
But I think it was also more that she didn't want to hear nobody talking trash about her husband.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
So because I know for me, like the stress, is that me? The stress of me playing was just too much for me. Like it messed with my mental game all so much. Because back in college was just fun. Like that's all you had to worry about. Go to school, you play ball. That's the way it should be. But when I got to the pros, it wasn't that. It was all a business. Like we done paid you all this money. Like we expect you to perform.
Yes.
Like it's no learning how to walk. You got to run from the jump.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready for that. And you could tell by the way I played on the field that I wasn't ready. And I think this is my first time really telling people this story about my pro days, because I really don't talk about it because it's just that dark. So she probably didn't want to hear people talking trash about her husband, because I wouldn't want to hear nobody talking trash about my wife. So that's why she didn't come.
Yeah.
But for me, those dark days went to drinking, they went to partying, they went to having the wrong people around.
Yes.
And you got to know, when you got the wrong people around you, they'll just
drag you down.
You just leading them. They're gonna follow you. They're gonna amp you up any way you want to be amped up. They're gonna be yes men.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into that situation, because at the time, we had just had Royce at the time. Our second son. And I didn't realize that she was busy as a mom. So most of that stuff probably didn't make sense to her. And we were still learning how to be married.
Yeah.
So even I could tell her how I feel, like, baby, you know what, I just can't do it no more. And I feel like she brushed it off. I got to understand, like, she married, she taking care of the house. We married, she taking care of the house. We got 2 basically almost newborns in the house. So what I did, I went out and tried to find some comfort from somebody else that I knew before. And it only took one conversation. We bumped into each other. It took one conversation to lead to another child. Leading me lying to my wife for 3 years. 4 years? 3 years. Too long. That's a heavy burden to carry for anybody. But I don't need no sympathy from nobody. None. I always say that. I don't need none. Because I know I made my bed. I'm a lie in it. How it go? But even with that happening, and my mom finding out, my sisters finding out, it put me in a place to where, and I can remember when Charity found out, it was like a weight lifted up off of me. That's fine. Oh, okay. I'll let it hang. But it was like a weight lifted off of me. And it's so surreal, man, when you get to a place that you carry a burden that long and it's just lifted, you just try to figure out what to do next. So me and Charity, after she found out, we took some time off. And then we came back. And then one of the things we decided before we even got married was divorce is not an option. And you know why people get divorced? Because they make divorce an option. They make it an option. But we have to understand, man, when you get in this for life. Now, that don't give me the right to go do whatever I want to do,
Right.
or give you the right to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
You have to live by and take care of your vows, the vows that you made to your wife or your husband. So we went back to that. We went back to that, and we sat down and we said, how are we going to make this work? And this woman here, man, I can talk about her all day because she do so much. And I find myself getting emotional because she didn't have to take me back. She didn't. We could have been another statistic.
Right.
Boo, you want to add on? Because I feel like I'm about to cry too.
Well, I don't know where I want to start. It's so much that we could say about this, but I know we have limited time. But we're gonna write a book or
We
a
are
few.
we're on our way.
Yeah. So let's see. Where do we start? I guess the day when we decided that, because I did think about divorce. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I never thought about it, because it was my initial thought. Like, okay, we about to get a divorce. But I knew that, for one, divorce was not going to solve anything. Like, we got divorced, what was it going to do? What was it going to benefit? Was it, it wasn't going to help anything. It was just going to make things, it was going to become a snowball effect of negative. I mean, we have children, and I wouldn't say stay married for the kids, because you don't want to just be tolerating each other just for the kids. No, we need to go back to where we messed up, like find out what we left out, what we were missing, and go back and let's do this thing right, in a way that's going to honor God and is going to change the narrative in our family. Because my parents divorced when I was about 4 or 5 years old. He never saw marriage in a home. His mom was never married. His parents were never married. So, I mean, we got to change this. So I felt really strongly that we needed to fight for our marriage. We need to fight for our marriage, fight for our family, and I knew that the enemy wanted that. I was like, I'm not going to give the enemy the satisfaction of getting a divorce. I'm not going to do that. I mean, it's easy to say that divorce is not an option when you're not going through anything, and it takes a lot of work and commitment and dedication to work at it and fight for your marriage when it's easy to walk away from a situation that you don't want. You feel, okay, I feel like a lot of times we just don't want to put in that work. But it's possible, and we're sitting here today as a testament to that fact that it is possible. So the first thing that we had to do was forgive. I had to forgive him, but he also had to forgive himself. And so one scripture, there are so many scriptures on forgiveness and mercy, but one that we have noted is Colossians 3:13. And it says, forgive as the Lord forgave you. We have a choice to forgive or not to forgive. God isn't going to force us to forgive our spouses. Making the choice to forgive doesn't mean that there aren't consequences for the transgression. It doesn't mean that they get away with it, because I feel like sometimes people are like, I can't forgive them for that because you're feeling like if you forgive, you're giving them a license to hurt you. That's not true. Giving our partner the gift of forgiveness is a gift. It has more to do with our relationship and reverence for God than with our spouse. So, although he had failed me, God had not. And when we got married, our covenant was between the two of us and God. So when your spouse messes up, when they sin against you, or when they betray you or let you down, don't forget that you also are in covenant with God. So you want to?
I can go into it. And the one way that helped me forgive myself, because it was hard, was the fact that she forgave me. With her doing that, it opened up my eyes to wanting to do better and want to put myself in a great space. So I remember one night, I talked about this last time. When God talked to me, he wakes me up in the middle of the night, like he messes with my sleep. For real. So one night God wakes me up and he was telling me, Troy, I want to do something in you. So for me, I'm like, yes, let's see where you're going to take me with this, because I need this. So, and I'm thinking, like, he said, I need you to lose some things, to give up some stuff. So I'm like, all right, God want me to go on a fast. It's going to be like maybe 7 days, maybe like 24-hour fast. Whatever God want me to give up, I'm going to give up. So I'm like, God, what you want from me? Like, what is it that you want from me? See, I won't change in you, but you're going to have to give up some stuff. I was like, all right, what you want? You want 7-day fast? What you want me to give up, like eating something? He said, no. What I want you to give up, I want you to do a 60-day fast for me. So I'm trying to negotiate with God, like, God, you sure it's 60? But God, and at the time, back when this happened, like I was drinking heavy. I was partying heavy. So God, like, really turned me around. And I think all of the prayers that Charity had, like he was answering them that day. He was answering them, because and God was like, I want to make this change in you, but you're going to have to give up the drinking. You're going to have to give up the hanging out. You're going to have to give up some friends. You're going to have to give up social media. Give it up. How bad do you want this? How bad do you want it? And I know God asked some of y'all the same thing. How bad do y'all want it? How bad do you want a good relationship with your wife? Really. How bad do you want it? God will single you out and put you front and center and tell you, show me how bad you want it. And that's what he did with me. He put me front and center and showed me, show how bad you want it. Guess what I did? I told my wife, like, Charity, I'm finna give up social media. I ain't gonna be drinking for a while. She be like, that's prayer number 1, that's prayer number 2, that's prayer number 3. That's it. Listen. And God, and when I did that, listen, you gotta understand how much stuff got better. And don't get me wrong now, it was hard not want to scroll up and down Facebook and Instagram. It was hard not want to go hang out with my friends. It was hard to give up drinking this on the spot. But when God with you and when you get in that word of God, it makes it so much easier. And listen, for me, to read my Bible, it was like pulling teeth. No doubt. No, I'm not going to lie. Until God told me to do what he wanted me to do. That, I'm in my Bible every day. I'm getting up, I'm praying before the sun come up. I'm doing what is necessary to do so I can make our relationship. I'm showing her why she forgave me was the right thing to do. I'm showing her. Boo, I'm going to let you go to the second one.
So after forgiveness, we had to choose, because whether we chose to reconcile or not, forgiveness still had to take place. And not only, even for me, like, not only did I need to forgive him, I also had to forgive I would say our daughter. Because we're one, and she his child, she my child too.
That's right.
But I prayed that God would give me his heart, and I wanted to see her, through God's eyes, and I wanted to love her as a mother would love a child. And so she's our daughter. So I had to forgive her mom too. Do I need to go back to when? Because I think
She can. You can go back and elaborate on that whole relationship, because it's crazy to me, because when me and Cherry decided that divorce is not option, the first thing she said, I want to meet the girl. I want to meet her.
And I'm like, oh. So what I do, I call my sister because I feel like I didn't need to be there, that somebody needed to, like with a, I wasn't scared, but I feel like I didn't need to be there. Somebody who, with a level head, somebody that knows both parties, need to be. So I called my sister like, Celeste, could you do this for me? She said, yeah, whatever you need. And Charity, everybody know Charity. Charity ain't finna go fight nobody. Charity will pray for you if you try to fight her. Maybe that has changed. But
I thought about it.
the whole thing is that she wanted to meet the girl. She wanted to do it. It wasn't the basher. I'll let you explain it.
Right. So, for 2 weeks after he told me about Sadie, for 2 weeks, I mean, I was in like I was becoming depressed. Like it was a sadness that I had. I've been sad before, but I had never experienced sadness on that level. It was like a really deep grief. Like, it was, I got to a point where I was like, God, I am tired of crying. I'm tired. You got to lift this off of me. Because it was a heaviness and a weight that was feeling like it was becoming unbearable. So I spent like every day, morning, afternoon, night, I just had to just stay in praise and worship. And when Pastor Ron said praise is a powerful weapon, it is. So I just had to, really just immerse myself in the presence of God, in the Word of God, and, prayer, praise, and worship. And so that's just what I did. And for those 2 weeks, that lifted me out of that dark place that I was in. And so by the end of that 2 week period, I told Troy, I was like, I need to go and sit and talk with Sadie's mom. Sadie is our daughter. And I said, I need to go, and I need to go see her face to face. And it wasn't to confront her. It was to tell her that I forgave her. And I didn't know what kind of response I was going to get from her. It didn't matter. I just knew, because I'm a daughter of the King. I'm a child of God, and I have to. That's how I have to live, and that's what I need to show people. And I knew that in this situation, I needed to allow God to reign and not, it goes back to those feelings. Like you can't make choices based off of your feelings. Because I was angry, I was jealous, because I think Troy had said in the beginning that this was a daughter. When he found out that he was having a daughter, he knew that I always wanted a daughter. And so that I felt like that was something that the enemy was like nitpicking at me, like, yeah, he got a daughter, but he got a daughter with another woman. And so all this stuff is affecting my feelings and my emotions. But I was like, you know what, God, I want you to be seen. And that was my prayer every day. God, I want to be a direct reflection of you. When people look at us, when they look at our situation, I want people to see your love, your goodness, your kindness. I want your heart to be reflected in this. And so 2 weeks after that day, my sister-in-law drove me to Columbia, and we met with Sadie's mom. And I could see on her face that she was expecting me to rip at her. But that's not what she got. She got the love of God. And so I told her, I said, I forgive you. I said, I don't have any ill feelings towards you or towards Sadie. I don't hate you. And I just told her, I said, I look forward to meeting Sadie. And then we started talking about, what Sadie's like, her personality and everything. Because at this point, I had never met her. I only seen a picture of her. I had not met her at the time. And it's just crazy how even to this day, like her mom, like on Mother's Day, we text her, and we're in a group text because I'm like, I need to be in the conversation.
Amen.
I need to be in the conversations, okay? So we text her Happy Mother's Day, and she was like, Charity, thank you for being such an amazing mom to Sadie. And that's what this is like, So there's no drama. If anybody's like wondering, like, how do y'all, there's no drama. Like And I have to give props to Troy because when I told him in the
That's
beginning
my love language.
Oh yeah, you know, see how God works. But when I told him what I needed in order for me to be okay, he respected that and honored it, you know, to the utmost. Like if I would in the beginning, because our former pastor said, you know, he told me to make a list, and it wasn't a crazy list. It wasn't anything that was unrealistic, but it was what was necessary for me, what I needed from him in order for me to be okay. And so, and he's been honoring that. So when I tell him, you know, the conversations need to be the three of us, you know, because I don't want y'all having no side conversations. Like, I could be in the conversation too, and he respected that. He told her, like, Jared, you know, we gonna text this way. This is how we gonna communicate. And so he's been very respectful and honorable in that way. Where am I going?
You're going to step 3, seeking counseling and finding a good church home, a good church foundation. It's okay. So I know for me, what got me to this church, one of my friends was coming here, and I wanted to make sure I was somewhere that marriage was the backbone of the church, pretty much, where they put it up front.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I sat on the back row, all the way to the right over here, and Pastor Rhonda came up to me, and she was just talking and talking. I'm like, okay, I feel welcome. I feel real welcome. So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna try a Sunday, because I came a Wednesday night. Then I came Sunday. I was like, Charity, I already found us a church. Like, we just need to go somewhere where we can grow and the kids can grow. Because my former pastor told me, like, if you're not growing in the church you're at, go somewhere where you can grow.
Go where you can grow.
So I'm glad we came here. And I wasn't even here 2 weeks. And then we talked to Pastor
Terry Eubanks. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, not long after we started this whole journey of forgiveness and reconciliation, we called the church. I actually had reached out to Angela Reed. I know a lot of you know Angela. Angela has been my hairstylist for like 6-7 years before we realized that we were actually related. So I called her. She's been here for a long time. So I was like, who do I talk to about marriage counseling? So she told me, she gave me the number to the church, and I called, and we were set up with Pastor Terry, and we did 6 weeks of counseling, and it was like the train was derailed, and then Pastor Terry put the train back on the track. That's basically what Pastor Terry did for us, so that was super effective, and we just love Pastor Terry. Is he here? Okay. So yeah, we just forever love Pastor Terry and so thankful for just him, you know, leading us through that 6 weeks of recovery is kind of what it was.
Yeah. So next we're gonna go to the recommitment and rededication to ourselves. And one of the things that we talked about was raising our standards in our marriage, like who we hang around, what we let come into our house, what we look at, whatever it may be. We want to raise the standards and the way we see each other. Like I might can still see her as my wife, but I gotta look at her spiritually. What is she spiritually to me? So I have to look at all these things, who I hung out with, and changing our environment. And most of my friends can tell you, like, I step back from a lot of stuff. For one, because I value my marriage more than I value anybody's friendship. I do. And if you can't understand that means we can't be friends.
Right.
And then also who we let counsel us. Like, we just don't need to sit down with anybody and let any friend put, these bugs in our ears and, just trying to drag us down. So you have to understand that as a married couple, you don't need to run to your friend all the time. Right. Come to church, and I promise you'll get something that you need. Go ahead, babe.
I was going to say, find another Christian couple that, can serve as mentors for you. It's so many here. Well, there's so many marriage groups here, and that's another thing that we love about our church, and we're super grateful for.
And also recognize our weaknesses. So if Charity know I'm weak at something, we'll point each other out. Let us know, like, what am I doing wrong, what I need help with, or what she need help with. recognize where we weak at so we can build each other up in that area. So I know we got about 10 minutes left. What I love to do, and this kind of helps me see and helps me and Charity see like where we at. I love to ask, I have a quick Q&A of anybody who has a question. And then me and Charity has a song that that pretty much describes our situation.
Oh, yeah.
Because God made a way. We don't understand. We don't even understand how God made a way in doing that. If anybody have a question, we'll take a couple. If not, we'll just play the song, get some worship in, and then I guess the praise team can come back up. Yes, ma'am, up front.
Yes.
Charity, how did you take on the bitterness and the resentment?
And honestly, that's a process because there are triggers. Just being reminded of certain things. One thing, a recent revelation that I got was that I can't focus on the action. When you focus on the action or the thing that was done to hurt you, that would cause those feelings of anger and resentment and bitterness to resurface. And I knew that I couldn't allow those feelings to take root in my heart. So anytime I started feeling that way, I had to reevaluate the time that I was spending with God. Because, really, that's where the healing takes place. Spending time in God's presence. That's just, it's priceless, and it's so necessary. So that helped me a whole lot. Just, knowing what God's word says about me and knowing that I'm secure in Him and not relying on what Troy can do to, because he has his own shortcomings. Like I said earlier, he may fail me, but I know God never will. So I always stay in God's presence and stay in the Word and pray. Talk to God all the time.
For something so deep and intimate that was in your life that way, that you had to experience and go through that kind of a battle, what point did it come to you guys that you were going to open your life up to everybody and let them know that deep, intimate hurt that you had and what you'd gone through? What was that pinnacle where you said, I'm going to give this to the world so everybody knows my story?
Well, it's something I do on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. As I go to schools and I tell them how I was brought up, 11 kids, burned twice. So I'm kind of used to telling my story. But this was different. Like when you're the one that messed up, you don't want nobody to know. So Charity was the one who pushed me in the right direction to be like, Troy, you don't hold on to that. Like that's something we don't keep to ourselves. Not if we're going to stay together. We don't keep this to ourselves. And like I said on Thursday, what we went through gonna help y'all get through. That's the whole point of it. You got some of you guys got stories people need.
Yeah.
There's no way y'all should hold on to them stories because you just never know. You might save a marriage, you might save a life. You have to use your story to get people through. And God will let you know if it's okay to talk and tell you. So don't sit back, don't wait, because I was the one who was gonna sit back and just ride it on out. You can't do that.
Another thing, too, to me, sharing your testimony is equivalent to punching the devil in the face because, then take that anger and direct it at the real enemy, the one that's unseen, but, he's behind the scenes, picking and, okay, I'm about to knock you out. Okay.
We'll take one more and then.
So I know within our group, whenever we talk about like infidelity issues, a lot of times, especially on the wife's behalf, they talk about how there's like intimacy that's lost through infidelity. So I guess I want to know from you guys, what did you do to build that intimacy back up in your marriage? And like, how long do you think that took to get back to that place of that trust and fellowship with each other?
I really don't know, because I'm really telling you, like it's. I want to answer the question for you, but we really don't know.
I feel like intimacy in marriages, because God designed that, I feel that it's almost healing in a way. Wow. Honestly, like that, I felt that way. I felt like that was necessary for us because it was, God was working in that. He was using that to rebuild that trust and that sense of security.
She got all the answers, I'm telling you.
It is. God created that, and I really believe that that healing was taking place even through that. So I don't think we went through a phase to where the intimacy wasn't there. I felt like if anything, it was more needed during that time.
Amen. Amen.
Thanks for joining us today on the New Life Everyday YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to receive the latest messages from Pastor Brian and the New Life team. If you enjoyed today's message, be sure to share this video with a friend. To learn more about us, visit our website, newlifeeveryday.com. Again, thanks for watching. God bless.